We have to talk about the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO. They launched their PSLV C-62 mission, and, well, it didn't make it.
It was a catastrophic failure, and I think for a lot of people just, scrolling through the headlines, it might look like another rocket blew up.
Right. Space is hard, things explode.
But this specific event is much, much heavier than that.
Because this wasn't just a one-off thing.
No. This is the second time this specific launch vehicle has failed, and when you look at the context, that's an earthquake in the space industry.
So today we're doing a deep dive into an analysis by journalist Mayank Chaya. It's called Troubled Skies.
Great.
And we aren't just going to talk about rocket fuel and trajectory. We're going to talk about a crisis of confidence. We're going to talk about roll rates, the ruthless economics of space insurance, and a really uncomfortable tension between a shiny national image and, well, telling the truth.
It's a classic case of engineering colliding with bureaucracy, and the fallout here could be massive.
So before we get to the explosion itself, we have to understand what exploded. The rocket is the PSLV. For those of us who aren't, memorizing rocket acronyms for fun, what is the PSLV?
The PSLV stands for the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. But, in the industry, nobody really calls it that. They call it the workhorse.
The workhorse.
Yeah.
Okay, that implies reliability. It's like the pickup truck that just starts every single morning, no matter how cold it is.
Exactly. This program launched way back in 1993. We're talking about a 33-year history here.
Wow.
In the fast-moving world of tech, that's basically ancient. But in rocketry, age is usually a good thing. It means you've worked out the bugs.
Right, you want the proven tech, not the experimental stuff.
Precisely. Over those 3 decades, the PSLV has racked up 58 successful missions. It is an absolute beast in terms of its reliability stats.
58?
And if you looked at just the modern era, say since 2014, ISRO has launched approximately 400 satellites using this platform.
400? That's an industrial scale of operation.
It is. And here's the key part that explains why this matters globally. ISRO isn't just launching Indian satellites. They're not just putting up their own weather sensors. They have become the delivery service for the world.
Like the FedEx of low Earth orbit.
That's a great analogy. 34 different foreign entities use India for their launches.
So if you're a university in Europe or a startup in Singapore,
or a smaller nation that needs to get a satellite up, you don't build your own rocket, you call ISRO.
Why them specifically? Is it just the technology? Or are they just the cheapest option?
It's the sweet spot. ISRO carved out a very specific niche for themselves. They're known for what the source calls incomparably affordable prices. But, and this is the big but, they were affordable and reliable.
That's the magic combo you want. Cheap and reliable, usually you have to pick one.
Exactly. If you're a commercial entity, you go to ISRO because they save you money, and you're pretty sure your satellite is actually going to get where it's going. That is their brand, their entire business model.
And that is exactly what's under threat right now. Let's look at this timeline because it's kind of brutal when you lay it out.
It is stark. So go back to May 2025, less than a year ago. The PSLV C-61 mission takes off and fails.
A huge shock at the time.
The first big stumble in a long, long time.
Okay, so everyone holds their breath. They do an investigation. They say, we fixed it. And then we get to January 12th, 2026.
PSLV C-62 launches, and it fails again. 2 major failures in 10 months.
And on this latest one, the January 12th launch, this wasn't an empty test flight, was it? They weren't just, launching a block of concrete.
Far from it. This hits that lucrative market we just mentioned directly. The rocket was carrying 16 satellites, and get this, 15 of them belong to foreign customers.
Ouch. 15 paying customers.
Yeah. 15 customers who entrusted their very expensive hardware to the workhorse and then watched it end up in the ocean.
I just can't imagine being the account manager at ISRO making those phone calls the next morning. Hey, remember that satellite your team spent 5 years building?
Yeah.
About that?
It just shifts the whole conversation, doesn't it? It goes from an unfortunate engineering setback to commercial negligence. You can survive 1 failure. 2 in a row, well, that starts to look like a pattern.
Okay, so let's get into the weeds a little. I want to understand the anatomy of a failure. Do we know exactly where it went wrong?
We have some very specific clues, and they are, well, they're quite revealing. The PSLV is a 4-stage rocket.
And just a quick refresher for everyone, staging means the rocket is in pieces, right?
Yeah.
You burn the first engine, drop it, burn the second, drop it.
Correct. It's all about shedding weight to get faster. Now, in both the May 2025 failure and this recent January 12th failure, The problem occurred during the third stage.
The third stage,
Both
both times.
both times.
That feels, I don't know, incredibly suspicious,
Hmm.
or at least highly coincidental.
It raises immediate red flags for any engineer. The official account from the ISRO chairman, V. Narayan, is quite technical but very telling. He explained that everything was performing exactly as expected until they were close to the end of that third stage burn.
So they're way up there, moving incredibly fast, and the engine is almost done.
Yes. And then the telemetry observed a disturbance in the vehicle roll rates.
Okay, let's unpack roll rate, because that sounds like something a pilot says in a movie. What is actually happening to the rocket?
Well, think of the rocket like a pencil spinning between your fingers. It's flying up, but it might be rotating around its center.
Okay.
That rotation, the roll needs to be perfectly controlled. If it starts spinning too fast or if it rolls when it isn't supposed to, the onboard computer basically gets confused.
It loses its orientation.
Exactly. The guidance system is trying to point the engine to steer. If the rocket is rolling unpredictably, the computer corrects in the wrong direction. The chairman noted there was a deviation in the flight path.
And at those speeds, I mean, if you deviate even a tiny bit.
You are miles off course in seconds. The aerodynamic forces just tear you apart, or the safety officer hits the destruct button. The mission is effectively over.
But here's the thing I'm struggling with. You started this by saying the PSLV is 33 years old. It's mature technology. Shouldn't the third stage be, I don't know, the boring part? Shouldn't they have the roll rates figured out by now?
You have just hit on the central paradox that Mayank Chaya points out in the source. He emphasizes that the PSLV mechanics are fully matured.
Fully matured, that means no experiments.
Right. This isn't SpaceX trying to catch a giant booster with mechanical arms. This isn't some bleeding-edge tech where you expect things to blow up because you're learning. The engineers at ISRO, they know these parameters inside and out. They've built dozens of these.
So if the tech is mature and the blueprints haven't changed, why is it breaking?
That is the billion-dollar question. The fact that it failed twice in the same stage in such rapid succession, it suggests something deeply unsettling.
Like what?
It suggests that ISRO's engineers might be confronting deeper technical challenges than they're letting on. It could be anything. A supply chain issue. Maybe the metal they're buying isn't as pure as it used to be. A manufacturing defect. A loss of knowledge as older engineers retire.
Or, and this is the scary thought, did they just fail to learn the lessons from the first failure in May?
That's the complacency argument. Did they rush the January launch? Did they think they fixed it but actually missed the root cause?
That leads us right into the business impact. Because if I'm a foreign client, we missed the root cause is literally the last thing I want to hear.
Absolutely not. And we need to really understand the economics here. Producing a satellite is incredibly expensive. We're not just talking about the hardware cost.
Right, the opportunity cost. If you're a scientist, that satellite might be your entire PhD. If you're a company, that satellite is your revenue stream for the next 10 years.
Exactly. If you miss your launch window or if your satellite is destroyed, you can't just run down to the store and buy another one. It sets you back years. So, reliability is the #1 product a launch provider sells. If these foreign entities start nursing misgivings, ISRO's revenue is at massive risk. But there's another layer to this financial hit that the source highlights, and I think this is fascinating: insurance.
Oh, right. Space insurance. I always forget that's a real industry.
It's a massive high-stakes industry.
I assume it's not like car insurance where you get a discount for being a safe driver?
Actually, it's exactly like that. Insurance companies assess risk based entirely on data. They look at the workhorse history and say, okay, 58 successes, very low risk, low premium. That keeps the total launch price down.
But now
the data says 2 failures in the last 2 attempts. The risk calculation changes dramatically. The source specifically points out that premiums for future ISRO launches could, and probably will, rise.
And if the premium goes up, the total cost of the launch goes up for the customer.
Precisely. Remember, ISRO's main competitive advantage, their moat in business terms, is those incomparably affordable prices. If insurance hikes erode that, they lose their edge.
It's a death spiral. You lose your reputation for reliability, so insurance goes up, which destroys your reputation for affordability.
It is a very dangerous spot to be in. But this brings us to the part of the analysis that I found most intriguing. It moves away from the nuts and bolts and the money, and it looks at the culture.
The source talks a lot about silence and transparency.
This is where the story shifts from engineering to governance. Mayank Chaya highlights a very specific issue regarding the Failure Analysis Committee, or FAC.
Okay, what is the FAC?
It's the internal team that investigates what went wrong. Every space agency has one. Something breaks, you form a committee, you find the fault. Now remember, the first failure back in May 2025,
Sure.
the FAC conducted an investigation, they finished it, they submitted a report to the Prime Minister's office in August of last year.
Okay, so August 2025, we're recording this in January 2026. That's, what, 5 months ago?
Correct.
So what did the report say? Why did the first rocket fail?
We don't know.
We don't know.
It has not been made public.
Why? I mean, is it classified? A state secret?
Well, that's the friction point. The source argues very strongly that ISRO is a civilian space program. It's not a military operation.
Right, these are commercial payloads.
Exactly. So the government has a duty to share at least the key findings with the public and its customers.
That just makes sense.